It's my journey, it's your journey. You need my help and I need yours. 'Cause we are...
Welcome to Journeys of Faith. Welcome to Journeys of Faith. Brother Joseph Frialdenhoven here. Be sure to click the link in the description for the full article. Apparitions at Fatima, Portugal. In the rolling hills of central Portugal, a tiny village named Fatima became the epicenter of one of the most profound and enduring mysteries of the Catholic faith. It was here, in 1917, that three young shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos and her cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto, claimed to have witnessed a series of apparitions of the Virgin Mary, later venerated as Our Lady of Fatima. These encounters, shrouded in both celestial wonder and earthly scrutiny, would go on to captivate millions, shaping Marian devotion and leaving an indelible mark on the 20th century. For believers, the messages delivered at Fatima are not just historical curiosities, but urgent calls to prayer, penance, and peace, messages that resonate as powerfully today as they did over a century ago. At Journeys of Faith, we are committed to bringing the transformative power of these sacred moments to life. Founded in 1980 by Bob and Penny Lord, our ministry has spent decades guiding the faithful on pilgrimages to holy sites like Fatima, producing faith-centered resources, and sharing the stories of saints and miracles through books, multimedia, and retreats. Our mission is to make the mysteries of the Catholic faith, such as the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima, accessible for education, inspiration, and spiritual growth. Whether you've walked the hallowed grounds of the Sanctuary of Fatima or are encountering this story for the first time, we invite you to journey with us into the heart of this divine encounter to uncover its historical roots, its spiritual significance, and the enduring call it places on our lives. Let's step back to that fateful spring of 1917, when the world was at war and a heavenly vision offered hope to a weary humanity. Historical context of Portugal in 1917. Dive into the tumultuous backdrop of Portugal in 1917 and you'll find a nation grappling with the aftershocks of political upheaval and the grinding weight of global conflict. Just 7 years prior, the country had overthrown its monarchy in the 1910 revolution, ushering in the First Republic, a regime marked by instability, anti-clerical sentiment, and a fierce push for secularization. The Catholic Church, once a bedrock of Portuguese society, found itself under siege, with religious orders banned, church properties confiscated, and clergy marginalized. For the faithful, especially in rural areas like Fatima, this was a time of quiet resistance where devotion to Our Lady and the traditions of the church became a refuge from a world seemingly intent on erasing them. Layer on top of that the shadow of World War I. Though Portugal had joined the Allies in 1916, the war's toll was felt deeply. Soldiers sent to the trenches of Europe, families fractured, and a pervasive sense of uncertainty gripping the nation. Economic hardship bit hard, especially in the countryside, where subsistence farming was the norm, and the specter of loss loomed large. It's no coincidence that the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima, reported by three shepherd children in this unassuming village, struck a chord so profound. In a time of chaos, both national and global, the message of peace, prayer, and penance delivered by the Virgin Mary offered a lifeline, a divine promise that transcended the turmoil of the era. This was Portugal in 1917, a land caught between its past and an uncertain future, where faith became both a shield and a beacon. Embark on a spiritual journey with Journeys of Faith. Hey there, fellow seekers of the divine. If the story of Our Lady of Fatima has stirred something deep in your soul, let's take that inspiration to the next level. At Journeys of Faith, we've been guiding hearts closer to God since 1980, and we're inviting you to join us on a transformative path. Founded by Bob and Penny Lord, our Catholic media ministry isn't just about stories, it's about living the faith through pilgrimages, books, and multimedia that bring miracles and saints into your life. And here's how you can dive deeper with us. Join a pilgrimage, walk the sacred ground of Fatima, Portugal, and other holy sites. Our guided group pilgrimages offer an intimate, faith-filled experience. Explore our resources. Grab a copy of our best-selling books like This Is My Body, This Is My Blood, Miracles of the Eucharist, or stream our EWTN programs on Saints and Marian devotion. Retreat with us. Find renewal at our Holy Family Mission in Arkansas, where spiritual growth awaits. Connect online. Access ebooks, DVDs, and streaming content to fuel your devotion anytime, anywhere. Let Journeys of Faith be your companion in discovering the wonders of Catholic heritage. Start your journey today. Your soul is waiting. The Three Shepherd Children of Fatima. In the rolling hills of Fatima, Portugal, where the wind carries whispers of the divine, three young shepherds, Lucia dos Santos and her cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto, became the unlikely protagonists in one of the most profound Marian apparitions in history. In 1917, these children, aged just 10, 9, and 7 respectively, were tending their sheep in the Cova da Iria, a rugged field far from the eyes of the world. They were simple, unassuming kids raised in a faith-filled but hard-scrabble life, unaware that their names would soon echo through the annals of Catholic devotion as witnesses to Our Lady of Fatima. It began on May 13th when a radiant figure, brighter than the sun yet gentle in demeanor, appeared to them above a small halm oak tree. She identified herself as the Lady of the Rosary, her voice a balm to their innocent hearts, urging them to pray the Rosary daily for peace in a world torn by the Great War. Over the next 6 months, she returned on the 13th of each month, entrusting them with messages of penance, prayer, and prophecy, words that would challenge the skepticism of a secular age and ignite a fire of devotion among the faithful. The children, though young, bore the weight of these revelations with a sincerity that disarmed even the most hardened doubters. Lucia, the eldest, emerged as the primary visionary, her memory sharp and her resolve unshakable, even under intense scrutiny from local authorities and clergy who dismissed the apparitions as childish fantasy. Francisco, a quiet boy with a contemplative spirit, internalized the call to prayer, often retreating to solitude to console the hidden Jesus in the Eucharist. Jacinta, the youngest, radiated a fierce love for souls, embracing suffering with a maturity far beyond her years after the Lady revealed the reality of sin and the need for reparation. Together, they faced ridicule, interrogation, and even imprisonment, yet their story never wavered, a testament to a faith as steadfast as the rocky terrain of Fatima itself. These three children weren't just passive recipients of a heavenly vision, they became active participants in a divine mission. Our Lady entrusted them with secrets, 3 in total, that ranged from personal calls to sacrifice to chilling glimpses of future trials for the church and the world. Their courage in the face of such responsibility, paired with their childlike trust, offers a piercing reminder of the power of humility. In a world quick to dismiss the unseen, the shepherds of Fatima stand as quiet giants, their lives a living prayer etched into the heart of Catholic spirituality. The 6 apparitions from May to October 1917. In the rolling hills of Fatima, Portugal, a divine mystery unfolded over 6 months in 1917, forever etching its mark on Catholic devotion. It began on May 13th when 3 shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos and her cousin, Jacinta, and Francisco Marto, encountered a vision that would ripple through history. They described a lady brighter than the sun, cloaked in white with a rosary in her hands, who urged them to pray and return on the 13th of each month. This was the first of 6 apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima, each building on a message of repentance, prayer, and sacrifice that would captivate the faithful and confound skeptics. On June 13th, the children returned to the Cova da Iria, the site of the initial vision. Joined by a small crowd of curious onlookers, the Lady appeared again, promising to take Jacinta and Francisco to heaven soon, while tasking Lucia with a lifelong mission to spread devotion to her immaculate heart. The weight of prophecy hung heavy, even as the children faced doubt from family and local authorities. By July 13th, the crowd swelled to thousands, though only the children witnessed the vision. This time, the lady revealed a terrifying glimpse of hell, imploring humanity to turn from sin, and entrusted them with secrets that would later stir both awe and controversy within the Thurn. Church. August brought turmoil. The children were detained by a local administrator on the 13th, missing their appointed meeting. Yet Our Lady appeared to them on the 19th in a nearby field, reassuring them and urging continued prayer for the conversion of sinners. The September 13th apparition drew tens of thousands, many reporting a strange dimming of the sun, as the lady reiterated her call for the rosary and promised a miracle the following month. Finally, on October 13th, with a crowd estimated at 70,000, the promised sign arrived, the miracle of the sun. Witnesses, believers, and skeptics alike described the sun spinning and dancing in the sky, a phenomenon that defied explanation and cemented Fatima as a cornerstone of Marian devotion. Each of these 6 encounters layered a profound spiritual urgency, a call to personal and communal transformation through prayer and penance. The messages of Our Lady of Fatima, delivered to 3 humble children amid a world torn by war, carried a timeless plea for peace that still echoes in the hearts of the faithful today. The Miracle of the Sun, October 13th, 1917. In the annals of Marian apparitions, few events have captured the collective awe and wonder of believers quite like the miracle of the sun on October 13, 1917, in Fatima, Portugal. This was the climactic moment of Our Lady of Fatima's appearances to 3 young shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos and her cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto. What transpired that day, witnessed by tens of thousands, remains a profound mystery and a cornerstone of Catholic devotion, a moment where the heavens seem to bend down to earth in a display of divine power. Picture the scene: a dreary rain-soaked morning in the Cova da Iria, a rugged field where the children had reported seeing the Blessed Virgin on the 13th of each month since May. Word had spread like wildfire, drawing a crowd estimated between 30,000 and 100,000. Farmers, townsfolk, skeptics, and devout pilgrims alike, all huddled under umbrellas, their boots sinking into the mud. The children had promised a great sign, something undeniable, as foretold by Our Lady herself. But as the hours dragged on, with no sign of the supernatural, murmurs of doubt began to ripple through the crowd. Some scoffed, others clung to hope, rosaries in hand. Then, around noon, Lucia cried out, pointing to the sky. The rain ceased abruptly, the clouds parted, and there it was, a spectacle that defied explanation. Witnesses reported the sun transforming into a spinning disk of silver, radiating colors of violet, blue, and gold, as if the very fabric of reality had been torn open. It danced, it zigzagged, and most terrifyingly, it seemed to plunge toward the earth, causing many to fall to their knees in terror, certain the end had come. Yet just as suddenly it returned to its place in the sky, leaving the crowd and the once sodden ground miraculously dry. This wasn't just a localized hallucination. Reports of the phenomenon came from miles away, from people who had no idea what was happening in Fatima. Secular newspapers, initially dismissive of the apparitions, were forced to reckon with the accounts of their own reporters who witnessed the event. The Portuguese daily O Século described it as the sun trembled, made sudden incredible movements outside all cosmic laws. Skeptics have since offered theories: mass hysteria, optical illusions caused by staring at the sun. But for the faithful, this was no trick of the eye. It was a divine seal on the messages of Our Lady of Fatima, a call to prayer, penance, and conversion that echoed through the tumult of a war-torn world. What strikes deepest, perhaps, is the simplicity at the heart of this miracle. 3 illiterate children, chosen as messengers, stood at the center of a cosmic drama. Their unwavering faith in the face of ridicule and threats from local authorities became a beacon for millions. The miracle of the sun wasn't just a spectacle, it was a challenge, a reminder that God often speaks through the smallest, the humblest, to shake the foundations of the mighty The Role of the Angel of Peace, 1916 Preparatory Visions before the Blessed Virgin Mary, Our Lady of Fatima, appeared to the three shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta. In 1917, a mysterious figure paved the way for their divine encounters. In 1916, an angel, later identified as the Angel of Peace, visited the children in a series of preparatory visions near Fatima, Portugal. These encounters, often overshadowed by the later apparitions of Mary, were foundational, setting a tone of reverence and sacrifice that would define the children's mission. The first vision came in the spring of 1916 as the children tended their sheep in the hills. A radiant figure, described by Lucia as a young man of unearthly beauty, appeared and declared, "Do not be afraid. I am the angel of peace. Pray with me." He knelt, bowing his forehead to the ground, and taught them a prayer of adoration and reparation. "My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love you. I ask pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love you." This moment wasn't just a gentle nudge toward piety. It was a call to spiritual warfare, a plea for the children to intercede for a world already torn by the horrors of World War I. In the second vision, during the heat of summer, the angel returned at the well near Lucia's home. This time, his message carried an urgent weight. "What are you doing? Pray, pray very much. The hearts of Jesus and Mary have designs of mercy on you. Offer prayers and sacrifices constantly to the Most High." Here, the angel wasn't just instructing, he was commissioning. The children were to become vessels of grace, their small lives woven into a divine plan far beyond their understanding. They began to grasp the gravity of sacrifice, offering up their daily discomforts, hunger, thirst, even the taunts of disbelieving villagers as acts of love. The third and final vision in the autumn of 1916 was the most profound. The angel appeared holding a chalice with a host above it, drops of blood falling from the host into the cup. He left the sacred element suspended in the air, prostrated himself, and taught the children a prayer of profound Eucharistic devotion. "Most Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I adore you profoundly, and I offer you the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, present in all the tabernacles of the world, in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifferences by which he himself is offended." Then, in an act of staggering intimacy, the angel gave Lucia Holy Communion from the chalice and shared the host with Francisco and Jacinta. This wasn't just a vision, it was a sacramental encounter, a foretaste of the Eucharistic focus that would mark the later messages of Our Lady of Fatima. These preparatory visions were no mere warm-up. They were a deliberate, almost tactical groundwork laid by heaven itself. The angel of peace didn't just teach the children to pray, he forged them into intercessors, equipping them with spiritual tools, prayer, sacrifice, and Eucharistic devotion for the trials ahead. By the time Mary appeared in 1917, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta were not untested innocents. They were, in a sense, battle-ready, their hearts already attuned to the sorrowful and immaculate heart of their heavenly mother. Reactions of church authorities and local government. The apparitions at Fatima in 1917 didn't just stir the hearts of the three young shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, or the growing crowds of pilgrims who flocked to the Cova de Iria. They also rattled the cages of both ecclesiastical and secular powers, each grappling with the implications of such extraordinary claims in their own way. Let's unpack how the church and the local government responded, often with skepticism, caution, and even outright hostility to the unfolding events tied to Our Lady of Fatima. On the church's side, initial reactions were marked by a heavy dose of prudence. The local parish priest, Father Manuel Ferreira, was among the first to hear the children's visions, and his response was a textbook case of clerical restraint. He questioned the children extensively, probing for inconsistencies or signs of deception, worried that this could be a hoax or, worse, a diabolical trick. His doubts weren't unfounded. Apparitions, after all, aren't everyday occurrences, and the church has a long history of discerning the authentic from the fraudulent. The Bishop of Leiria, Jose Alves Correa de Silva, wasn't quick to jump on board either. Early on, he maintained a distance, neither condemning nor endorsing the events, but he did order a formal investigation as reports of miracles, like the infamous miracle of the sun on October 13th, 1917, spread like wildfire. It wasn't until 1930, after years of scrutiny, interviews, and theological analysis, that the bishop officially declared the apparitions worthy of belief, a cautious stamp of approval that reflected the church's slow, deliberate process in matters of faith. Meanwhile, the local government's reaction was far less measured and a lot more antagonistic. Portugal in 1917 was under the grip of a staunchly anti-clerical regime, a product of the 1910 revolution that had overthrown the monarchy and established a secular republic. The authorities saw the Fatima events not as a spiritual awakening, but as a dangerous resurgence of religious fervor that threatened their modernist anti-church agenda. The administrator of the district of Vila Nova de Urem, Artur de Oliveira Santos, took a particularly hard line. A known Freemason with little patience for Catholic piety, he detained the children in August 1917, hoping to scare them into recanting their story. He even threatened them with boiling oil, a grim tactic that failed to break their resolve. On the day of the October apparition, government forces were deployed to control the massive crowd, fearing unrest or a religious uprising. Their efforts to suppress the phenomenon only fueled public curiosity and devotion, turning Fatima into a flashpoint of tension between state and faith. What's striking here is the stark contrast in approach. The church, bound by doctrine and a responsibility to protect the faithful, played the long game, prioritizing discernment over haste. The state, on the other hand, reacted with a heavy hand, viewing the apparitions through a lens of political control rather than spiritual significance. Both responses, though, underestimated the staying power of the children's testimony and the deep-rooted faith of the Portuguese people, who continued to pilgrimage to Fatima despite the obstacles thrown their way. Official Vatican recognition and decrees. In the grand tapestry of Catholic history, the apparitions at Fatima, Portugal, stand as a profound thread woven with divine mystery and scrutinized by the Church with meticulous care. The events of 1917, when three shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, claimed to witness visions of Our Lady of Fatima, were not immediately embraced by ecclesiastical authorities. The road to official recognition was a long one, paved with skepticism, investigation, and ultimately reverence. It wasn't until October 13th, 1930, that the Bishop of Leiria, Fatima, Jose Alves Correa de Silva, issued a pastoral letter declaring the apparitions worthy of belief. This was no small gesture. It came after over a decade of rigorous inquiry into the children's accounts, the reported miracles, and the infamous miracle of the sun, witnessed by tens of thousands on that fateful day in October 1917. The bishop's decree was a pivotal moment, affirming that the faithful could venerate Our Lady of Fatima without fear of straying from church teaching. The Vatican itself took notice, and in the years that followed, papal endorsements added layers of gravitas to the Fatima phenomenon. Pope Pius XII in 1942 consecrated the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, a direct nod to the messages delivered by Our Lady to the young visionaries. Later, in 1967, Pope Paul VI visited the Fatima Sanctuary on the 50th anniversary of the apparitions, a pilgrimage that underscored the site's enduring spiritual significance. Perhaps most strikingly, Pope John Paul II, who credited Our Lady of Fatima with saving his life after a 1981 assassination attempt, beatified Francisco and Jacinta in 2000, cementing their status as exemplars of childlike faith. These decrees and actions weren't mere formalities. They were the church's way of sifting through the extraordinary, separating divine inspiration from human imagination. The messages of Fatima, calls for prayer, penance, and devotion to the Immaculate Heart, resonated with a world often mired in conflict and uncertainty. From the horrors of World War I to the tensions of the Cold War, each Vatican acknowledgement served as a reminder that Fatima wasn't just a local curiosity, it was a universal call to conversion, echoing through the halls of St. Peter's and into the hearts of the faithful worldwide. Secrets of Fatima, first, second, and third revelations. Dive into the heart of the Fatima apparitions, and you'll uncover a trilogy of secrets, profound revelations entrusted to three young shepherd children by Our Lady of Fatima in 1917. These messages, delivered amidst the backdrop of a war-torn world, carry layers of mystery, prophecy, and spiritual urgency that have gripped the faithful for over a century. Let's unpack each one with the kind of scrutiny you'd expect when peeling back the curtain on a divine enigma. The first secret hit like a gut punch, a vision of hell itself. Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, barely old enough to tend sheep, were shown a terrifying glimpse of the underworld, a sea of fire where demons and lost souls writhed in torment. It wasn't just a scare tactic, it was a wake-up call. Our Lady urged the children to pray and offer sacrifices for sinners, emphasizing that many souls were at risk of eternal damnation without repentance. This wasn't abstract theology, it was raw, visceral, and meant to shake complacency to its core. Then came the second secret, a geopolitical bombshell wrapped in spiritual warning. Our Lady foretold the end of World War I, but cautioned that a worse conflict, World War II, would erupt if humanity didn't turn back to God. She pointed to Russia as a key player, predicting its spread of errors across the globe unless it was consecrated to her Immaculate Heart. This wasn't just a prophecy, it was a plea for action, a call for prayer and penance to avert catastrophe. The weight of history hangs heavy here as debates still rage over whether her requests were fully heeded. The third secret, shrouded in intrigue for decades, was the final piece of the puzzle, revealed in writing by Sister Lucia in 1944, but kept under lock and key by the Vatican until 2000. It sparked endless speculation. When finally disclosed, it described a vision of a bishop dressed in white being struck down amidst a ruined city alongside martyred clergy and laity. Many interpret this as a symbol of the Church's suffering in the 20th century, with some linking it to the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II in 1981. Others argue there's more to it, a hidden depth still unspoken. The mystery lingers, fueling devotion and discussion alike. And these secrets aren't just relics of the past, they're a spiritual roadmap. Each revelation, from the horrors of hell to the specter of global upheaval and ecclesiastical persecution, underscores Our Lady of Fatima's urgent call to prayer, sacrifice, and conversion. They challenge us to look beyond the surface, to wrestle with the profound and often unsettling realities of faith in a broken world. Consecration of Russia and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Let's dive into one of the most profound and often debated aspects of the Fatima apparitions, the call for the consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. When Our Lady appeared to the three shepherd children in 1917, she delivered a message that was as much about spiritual warfare as it was about personal conversion. She spoke of a world teetering on the edge of chaos, with Russia at the center of a storm that would unleash errors and suffering if her requests were ignored. Her plea was clear: consecrate Russia to her Immaculate Heart and pray the Rosary for peace. It's a request that carries the weight of divine urgency, a call to arms for the faithful to intercede through prayer and sacrifice. Our Lady's words, as recounted by Lucia, the eldest of the visionaries, weren't just a vague spiritual suggestion. They came with a stark warning: if her request for the consecration wasn't heeded, Russia would spread her errors throughout the world, causing wars and persecutions of the Church. At the time, the Bolshevik Revolution was just months away, and the specter of communism loomed large. Many see this as a prophetic insight, a glimpse into the ideological battles and global conflicts that would define the 20th century. The Immaculate Heart, in this context, isn't just a symbol of Mary's love, it's a fortress, a spiritual refuge against the tides of destruction. And the consecration itself, though, has a tangled history. Popes have made various acts of consecration over the decades, most notably Pope Pius XII in 1942 and Pope John Paul II in 1984. The latter, performed in union with the bishops of the world, is widely regarded by many Catholics as fulfilling Our Lady's request, especially given the subsequent fall of the Soviet Union. Yet some still question whether the exact conditions were met, pointing to Lucia's later writings where she emphasized the need for explicit mention of Russia. It's a debate that simmers in Catholic circles, a reminder of how deeply the Fatima message resonates even a century later. What's undeniable is the devotional power of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in this story. Our Lady didn't just ask for a political act, she invited the faithful into a personal consecration, a surrender of their own hearts to hers. The first Saturday's devotion, 5 consecutive Saturdays of confession, communion, rosary, and meditation on the mysteries, was given as a path to repair the wounds inflicted by sin. It's a quiet, intimate counterpoint to the grand geopolitical stakes of the consecration, yet no less vital. Through these acts, the faithful are called to join Mary in her mission of peace, to stand with her against the darkness she foresaw. This part of the Fatima story isn't just history, it's a living challenge. The call to consecration, whether of a nation or of oneself, asks us to wrestle with what it means to trust in divine promises amid a world that often feels as fractured as it did in 1917. Our Lady of Fatima's message here is both a warning and a hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, prayer and devotion can shift the course of history. FAQs about the apparitions at Fatima, Portugal. What are the apparitions at Fatima? The apparitions at Fatima refer to a series of extraordinary visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary, known as Our Lady of Fatima, that took place in the small village of Fatima, Portugal. These events are among the most significant Marian apparitions in Catholic history, drawing millions of pilgrims to the site over the past century. Reported by 3 young shepherd children, the apparitions conveyed messages of prayer, repentance, and devotion to God, resonating deeply with the faithful worldwide. At Journeys of Faith, we honor these sacred moments by offering resources and pilgrimages to help you connect with this powerful story of faith. When did the Fatima apparitions occur? The Fatima apparitions occurred between May 13th and October 13th, 1917. They took place on the 13th of each month during this period, aligning with a rhythm that became a hallmark of the events. This was a tumultuous time in history, with World War I raging across Europe, and the messages delivered by Our Lady of Fatima carried an urgent call for peace and spiritual renewal. Who witnessed the apparitions at Fatima? The apparitions were witnessed by 3 young shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos, age 10, and her cousins Francisco Marto, age 9, and Jacinta Marto, age 7. These humble children, tending to their flock in the fields of Cova da Iria, became the unlikely recipients of divine messages. Their unwavering testimony, despite skepticism and persecution, has inspired generations of Catholics to embrace the teachings of Our Lady of Fatima. How many apparitions were there at Fatima? There were 6 documented apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima occurring monthly from May to October 1917. Each encounter built upon the last, with the Blessed Virgin Mary imparting messages and visions to the children. These events culminated in a profound public miracle witnessed by thousands, solidifying Fatima's place in Catholic devotion. What message did Our Lady give at Fatima? Our Lady of Fatima delivered a message centered on prayer, penance, and conversion. She urged the children, and through them the world, to pray the rosary daily for peace, to make sacrifices for sinners, and to consecrate themselves to her Immaculate Heart. Her words were a plea for humanity to turn back to God during a time of war and moral crisis, a call that remains relevant today. Journeys of Faith is committed to helping you explore these timeless messages through our books, multimedia, and guided pilgrimages. What are the three secrets of Fatima? The three secrets of Fatima are prophetic revelations given to the children during the apparitions. The first secret was a vision of hell, emphasizing the consequences of sin. The second predicted the end of World War I, but foretold a worse conflict, World War II, if humanity did not repent, also calling for the consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The third secret, revealed later by Lucia under the direction of the Vatican, described a vision of a bishop in white, interpreted as a pope being struck down amid persecution, symbolizing the church's suffering. These secrets have been a source of intense reflection and study within the Catholic community. Were any miracles reported at Fatima? Yes, the most notable miracle associated with Fatima is the miracle of the sun, witnessed on October 13, 1917. Beyond this, numerous personal accounts of healings, conversions, and spiritual transformations have been linked to the site and the intercession of Our Lady of Fatima. These stories continue to inspire pilgrims who visit the Sanctuary of Fatima, a destination often included in Journeys of Faith pilgrimages. What is the miracle of the sun? The miracle of the sun occurred on October 13, 1917, during the final apparition, when an estimated 70,000 people gathered at Cova de Iria after the children predicted a sign from Our Lady. Witnesses reported seeing the sun dance, spin, and emit radiant colors before appearing to plunge toward the earth, only to return to its normal position. Even skeptics and secular journalists documented the phenomenon, which defied natural explanation. This event remains one of the most widely witnessed miracles in modern history, cementing Fatima's significance in Catholic tradition. How did the Catholic Church respond to Fatima? Initially, the Catholic Church approached the Fatima apparitions with caution, as it does with all reported supernatural events. Local clergy and authorities were skeptical, and the children faced intense scrutiny. However, after thorough investigations, including interviews with witnesses and examination of the miracle of the sun, the Church began to affirm the events. In 1930, the Bishop of Leiria Fatima declared the apparitions worthy of belief, and papal endorsements followed, including visits by several popes to the site. Fatima's messages have since shaped Catholic devotion in geopolitics, notably influencing the consecration of Russia by Pope John Paul II in 1984. Are the Fatima apparitions officially recognized by the Church? Yes, the Fatima apparitions are officially recognized by the Catholic Church. On October 13, 1930, Bishop José Alves Correa de Silva of Leiria Fatima approved the apparitions as authentic and worthy of belief, a decision supported by subsequent popes. The Church's recognition has elevated Fatima to one of the most revered Marian shrines in the world, drawing millions annually. At Journeys of Faith, we invite you to deepen your understanding of this sacred history through our educational resources and transformative pilgrimages to Fatima and beyond. Be sure to click the link in the description for the full article.
It's your journey, but we won't make the trip alone.